Hello friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. It is time for my 2022 palette ranking. I'm gonna rank all of the eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the year 2022. I have already uploaded my full makeup collection and declutter series at this point, including my eyeshadow palettes. So you will see some palettes that I decluttered if you've already seen that video, and I'll kind of just touch on which ones are decluttered. It's gonna be crazy. I haven't even filmed that segment yet. I'm gonna film that in a couple days, and I'm intimidated. I've been keeping a list going all year of the order that I'm keeping things in. So I think I'm pretty set on it. I need to review it a couple more times, but I'm excited to share it with you. Of course, please do not get offended if your favorite palette is ranked lower. It's okay. It's really not a big deal. It's just makeup at the end of the day. We all have different preferences, and that's what makes makeup fun. Before we hop into the ranking, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on my Instagram and TikTok by the time this video goes up. And as far as my accessories today go, this necklace is from Ana Luisa. This is a wig from insert name here, and this is a CC brand beanie. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop in and rank palettes that I tried this year in 2022. All right, friends, we're gonna get into this. I have 96 palettes to go over, and I wanna try my best to just be short and sweet to the reasons why it's ranked where it's ranked, because I did already do my full palette collection and declutter video a few weeks back, so I don't wanna necessarily just do the same video twice, you know what I mean? So if you want more in-depth thoughts on all these palettes, you can go check that video out. But I'm just gonna try to be short and sweet, and we're gonna get into this 96 palette ranking. Side note, I have played with like all of these palettes, by the way, whether it be on my YouTube channel or Instagram and TikTok or both. You can search my platforms and see what I've used if you need some inspiration. I also do have discount codes with some of these brands. I have all of my discount codes listed in the description box, and I appreciate it very, very much if you use it if you end up doing any shopping. I did want to start with my honorable mention. Obviously, my second collab with Shroud launched this year, my Halloween palette. This one is obviously first place. Like, I love this palette. It's my baby. I loved helping create it. This is just fantastic to me. But just to keep it fair to the other palettes, I'm not including this in the ranking because then it would be obvious what number one is going to be. So this one I'm just considering an honorable mention. And now let's get into the ranking, starting with 96. Number 96 is my Blood Moon palette by Wednesday Cosmetics. Basically, these mattes just didn't work for me. They were patchy to use, not fun to work with. The shimmers weren't anything special. Transcendence is pretty. It gave a really wet looking appearance, but the other ones just didn't really blow my mind. So that's why this one is in last place. It was honestly just my least favorite thing to work with all year. Number 95 is the Shell Shocked palette from Colourpop. This one just honestly also is not very great. I like the shimmers in here a little bit, like they give a nice glossy look, but the mattes in here are just so incredibly sheer. They are not anything special. This palette doesn't do anything for me. It was pretty disappointing. Number 4 is the Khaki Haze by Huda Beauty. I didn't hate this palette, like the formulas aren't awful. It's just not mind-blowing, and it's not something I saw myself like really gravitating towards. Like I have other things I prefer. Pretty much everything in this pile. Like again, it's not bad, it's just nothing impressive to me, so that's why I ranked it lower. Number 93 is the Salem Cosmetics Dark Passenger palette. This was the brand's first palette, and it's not horrible. The mattes are actually pretty great. They blend really nicely, very pigmented and very smooth to work with. The shimmers are just kind of subtle for me. It's not really my go-to formula, and everything else I'm just more likely to use, so that's why I ranked this one lower as well. But I will be talking about this brand more later in this video. They have made some major improvements since this palette. Number 92 is the Vader palette from Colourpop. Again, it's not horrible. Like I don't have formula issues with this. It's just not something I've been gravitating towards. Like it's been at the bottom of the totem pole pretty much all year. So that's why this one's remained in the bottom. I just like everything else more. Simple as that. I feel like kind of starting at this point, I really don't have any issues with formulas per se. It's more so just likelihood to reach for it. Number 91 is the Bright palette from BH Cosmetics. It's just hard when you have the Blend Bunny rainbow palettes. Every other rainbow palette is mediocre in comparison. It's not awful, but these shimmers aren't that mind-blowing compared to some other Beauty Bay palettes, and the mattes are just fine, but I can't rank it higher because the Blend Bunny ones are ultimate. Moving into the top 90 now. Number 90 is the Art Nouveau palette from Kaleidos, and pretty much the same reasoning as the Bright palette previously. It just doesn't hold a candle to my Blend Bunny palette, so that's why this one was ranked a little bit lower. It's not bad, it's pretty, it's just not mind-blowing, and everything else I'm just more likely to reach for. Rainbow palettes are not my go-to, and if they are, I'm gonna use Blend Bunny every time. Number 89 is the Fiery palette from Beauty Bay, and similar to that Bright palette, it's just not mind-blowing. Like the shimmers are just kind of subtle in this one compared to other Beauty Bay palettes. And there just isn't really good depth with this one either, so it made me not want to reach for it as much either. So everything else going forward, again, I just like more. This one wasn't doing enough for me. Number 88 is another Salem Cosmetics palette, the Great Mother. This one I liked a great deal more. Again, they've made vast improvements since even this one. But again, the shimmers were just a little too subtle. The mattes are great to work with, but the shimmers just didn't do enough for me. 87 is the Bon Voyage palette between BT21 and Colourpop. It's nothing special. Again, there's a lot of pressed glitters in here, which I don't prefer. It's just not one that I'm reaching for, you know? It's just not doing anything special enough for me. It's not awful, but it's not the best thing I've worked with either. Number 6 is the Colourpop on the Mango Quad. I actually do like this. I liked how bright it was. Like, it seemed to have some good richness to it. I just really don't reach for quads. It's like one of the last things I'll reach for. It's just not my preference. I prefer a 9 to 12 pan is my sweet spot, but even 6 pans I can get down with pretty well. I just wasn't really reaching for this one. The colors are nice in here, but just not special enough for me. Speaking of quads, 85 is the Kaleidos Cold Brew Quad. It's not bad. Again, this is just not my preference to reach for. The formulas are beautiful though. I adore Kaleidos. Their mattes are so buttery and easy to work with, and their shimmers are so metallic and like just wet looking on the lid. I just don't reach for quads, so that's why I ranked this one lower. However, I like this one formula-wise more than the On the Mango. 84 is my Aether Beauty Desert Sunset palette. It's pretty. I like the tones in here. I think it definitely gives a nice vibe, but it just wasn't really doing anything special. I know I keep repeating that, but we're kind of in that segment right now where it's not like the worst thing I've ever worked with, but it just didn't really do much for me. I would rather play with this color story versus the ones I've talked about so far. However, it's fine. The mattes blend nicely, the shimmers are pretty, but it's nothing mind-blowing. 83 is the Colourpop in the Springs palette. I actually ranked this one lower just because I completely forgot about this one. It's not awful. The shimmers are nice Colourpop shimmers and a nice Colourpop matte formula. Like, there's nothing bad about it. But it's not my go-to color story, and it's also just very forgettable for me, so I felt like I couldn't rank it any higher, but it's not an awful palette if you're into this. Number 82 is the Sweet Tragedy palette from Reza Beauty. Basically, I like certain things about this, but not others. These two shimmers are beautiful. I like the green and the purple, but there's a lot of neutrals I'm not gonna reach for. Some of these shimmers are a little more subtle as well. It's just overall like only a chunk of it is something I'm gonna use. So that's why I ranked this one lower. It's not super mind-blowing for me. And number 81, which I actually tragically broke, is this quad here. I'll insert a picture. It's the Strawberry Sweet quad from Colourpop. And again, the colors are nice, it's bright, it's punchy, but it's a quad, you know? I don't reach for quads. It wasn't awe-inspiring enough for me to rank higher or keep around in my makeup collection and declutter video, so that's why this one's ranked low. Moving on to the top 80. Number 80 is gonna be my Ethereality palette from Jolie Beauty. This one I just had higher hopes for and it didn't match them. These two shimmers, like right there, are so beautiful and textured, but this also does have a lot of pressed glitters in it, and the other shimmers aside from those two that I like are so subtle and like satiny looking, which is not my preference. Yeah, this one just wasn't great for me. The mattes are fine, but they're not anything super special, so I really couldn't rank this one any higher, and it's really sad because I love the color story. Number 79 is another Salem Cosmetics palette. This is Salem and the Witch. This one I loved so much more than their first two palettes. I think this color story is so cute, and again, the mattes are really nice, but again, the shimmers are just a little too subtle for my taste. These ones did seem to have a little more punch than the Dexter palette, but it just still wasn't doing enough for me, so I couldn't really rank it any higher. But I did appreciate this one the most so far. 78 is the Colourpop Coast is Clear palette. I love this palette specifically for that shade. It's just so incredibly wet looking. I just feel like I get a really ethereal, glowy look when I use this palette. Not enough for me to keep it around in my collection or rank it any higher, but I did have an appreciation for this one for the shimmers alone. So that's why this one I ranked a little bit higher than like the Shell Shock that I ranked number like second to last, but it's just not enough for me to rank it any higher. This really isn't my vibe in general. I like color, I like grunge, I like depth, and this isn't it, but it does have really pretty shimmers. Number 77 is the Colourpop by the Rosé. Similar to the last one I talked about, actually. It gives a really pretty glowy vibe, But overall, it's just not my vibe. It's not the thing I reach for first. It's really not a bad palette at all if you're into this. I'd even recommend it, but it's just not enough for me to rank higher. I'd much rather play with everything else I have to talk about. Number 76 is the Matte About Hue palette from Colourpop. I tried this more so because curiosity got the best of me, but again, the Blend Bunny palettes, it just doesn't hold a candle to those. These are nice mattes, but this mega palette really isn't even that much cheaper than a Blend Bunny palette, especially if you use a discount code or something. So I would just always recommend that over this. And they have multiple different kinds of like different gradient rainbow palettes. So this one is pretty, but I just couldn't rank it higher. Even though the formulas are nice, it's just not enough for me to like want to constantly use or rank higher than this. Number 75 is the What's Up Beauty Geodes palette. I actually really did enjoy using this, but during my makeup collection and declutter, I just realized it was more the shimmers that I love. The mattes are fine like formula wise, but they weren't colors that were so awe-inspiring that I needed to keep kicking around. And then when it came to the shimmers, I have so many pretty shimmers in my collection. So this one just didn't make the cut, so I couldn't really rank it any higher. It's really pretty. I don't have any problems with it. I would potentially try more from the brand in the future. It's just, it didn't make the ranking very high just because some of the palette just didn't do enough. If the mattes were a little bit more inspiring for me color-wise, maybe it would have gotten ranked higher. Number 74 is the Scooby-Doo Glam Light Creeps and Crawls palette. Beautiful color story, incredible shimmers. Unfortunately, the mattes were just more on the sheer side for me. The only other Glam Light palettes I've tried are the Michaela ones, which are insanely rich and pigmented. These ones were just a little more sheer, which disappointed me. They weren't awful to work with. They built up, but just the fact that it was different kind of bummed me out, so yeah, that's why I ranked this one lower. It needed to be better. And same with the 73 Scooby-Doo Glam Light Rut-Row Raggy palette. Obsessed with this color story. I created one with Shroud very similar a few years ago in my It's Frickin' Bats palette. But again, the mattes just were not mind-blowing for me. They didn't do quite enough that I wanted them to do. It wasn't what I was expecting, so that's why I ranked this one lower as well. Number 72 is the Bad Side Zodiac Fire palette from Melt. I did like this one. It wasn't the one that I kept kicking around after I used all of them, just because I wanted there to be a little more richness and depth to the mattes. And maybe one additional shimmer, but it's not bad. It's not an awful palette. The formulas are nice. It just, the color story needed to be boosted up a little bit more for me to rank it higher. And next up, number 70 is the Kaleidos Flowing Haze palette. I was really tempted to keep this palette and rank it higher just because of this duochrome shimmer. It's so pretty, but again, I don't reach for quads. It's not the first thing I reach for. I don't really have a special reason. I've had people ask me like, why do you hate quads? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a preference. You know, we all have like the preferences, and I just don't reach for quads. It's not as inspiring for me. I'd rather have a little more options, not a ton of options, but just more options. So that's why this one isn't ranked any higher, but the formula is beautiful and that duochrome is really, really pretty. Moving on to the top 70. And actually, this is the last one out of all of these. Well, there's one exception that I'll get to later, but we're now entering the point where I've no longer decluttered anything. This is the last thing I actually decluttered so far in my declutter series from this ranking. So everything else going forward, I do love exceptionally more. And again, like even this one, number 70, the Glowing Iris from Kaleidos, formula is beautiful. I love these colors. They are extraordinary. I just don't reach for quads. If I'm gonna play with purples, like this is not the first thing I'm gonna reach for, unfortunately. So that's why I didn't rank this one any higher, and that's why I didn't keep it in my makeup collection and declutter. I'd rather give it to a friend. But yeah, going forward, starting with 69 is everything that I've kept, so that's really exciting. Number 69 is the Avatar Colourpop palette. I just am such a sucker for this palette. This theming is so cute. There could have been a brighter green for Earth Kingdom. I would have loved that, like something that matched their clothes. But I do love this. I think the mattes are beautiful and the shimmers are really nice, and I've really enjoyed this one, so this one's 69. It's just, again, it's not so mind-blowing that I needed to rank it higher, but I do have an appreciation for this one. Number 68 is my Game Beauty Cyberpunk palette, and as much as I love this color story, it's so bright and so pretty. Unfortunately, these shimmers didn't blow me away. They've done some really, really pretty shimmers in their past palettes that I was really expecting in this one, and they just weren't in here, so that was kind of sad, but I do still really enjoy it. Obviously, I kept it from the declutter, so I don't dislike this palette. I just expected a little more, so that's why I didn't rank it any higher. I'm really excited for their new release, though. They are sending it to me. They emailed me, so that's really exciting. Number 67 is the Ace Beauté Paletopoly palette, and this is actually the only thing from my makeup collection and declutter series that I undecluttered. I decided after the fact that I did in fact want to keep this one. So this is the Palettopoly. It is beautiful. These shimmers are incredible and the mattes are fantastic. It's very chaotic and weird. It's a weird color story. The only reason I didn't rank this one higher is just because when I think about this palette, I think about the game Associated, so it doesn't inspire me to use it very often, but I want to try to inspire myself to use it more often. So it's not inspiring on its own, so that's why I ranked it a little bit lower, but it is still a lovely palette. Number 66 is the Waiting Room palette from the Beetlejuice Melt Cosmetics collab a couple Halloweens ago. One of my friends gave me hers because she wasn't using it anymore, and I love it. Theming on point, formula's amazing. I adore this palette. I just love other things more. Like, we're at that weird middle point of the video where I don't have a problem with anything. I just like the next one more. But this is a beautiful palette. I'm super happy I have it. Number 65 is the Nomad Cosmetics Santa's Village palette. This is such a cutie. What a cute little holiday palette. Some nice rich holiday shades with beautiful twinkly toppers. It's not a palette I'm going to use all the time, which is why I didn't rank it higher, but I do find this one charming. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. Number 74 is the Give Me Glow 2 Moods palette. It opens on like both sides, like two separate palettes. Ignore the shade that I destroyed. These shimmers are incredible. They are so sparkly. I like the range of depth in here. I like that you can kind of organize this into different sections of like color story. These all pretty much for the most part work great as blushes as well. I think this is an amazing palette. It's just not my go-to color story. Like, I don't reach for like rosy mauvey neutral tones all the time, so I couldn't really rank it any higher than I ranked it, but I love this. I love Give Me Glow's formulas. I think this was a really fun idea for a palette. Number 63, the only quad that I kept in my declutter video, and it's the Kaleidos Black Jasmine, just because this truly is the ultimate smoky palette. Like, if I want to do a black gray gradient metallic smoky eye, this would be the one I reach for every time. Again, the formulas are insane. This metallic silver is incredible. I couldn't rank it higher just because I don't use quads very often, but this is a pretty unbeatable, like, smoky situation. Number 62 is the Limelight palette from Colourpop. I actually really liked this. This one got hit or miss reviews. I thought it was fine. I liked how fluorescent it was. It was pretty enjoyable to use. But again, it's just everything else was a little bit nicer, so I couldn't rank it any higher, but I had appreciation for this one. And number 61, the Colourpop All Amethyst, pretty much the exact same reasoning. This got hit or miss reviews. I personally loved it, but you know, it wasn't so crazy good that I could rank it any higher. Everything else I just enjoy a lot more, but I thought this one was fun to use. Moving into the top 60 now, we're in like the top 2/3 of the video. Number 60 is my Cinderella palette from Sigma. I was so happy they sent this to me. It is a gorgeous, glamorous, kind of grungy dream. I love the jewel tones in here, and those shimmers are so wet looking. This was my first year trying Sigma in general, and I was pretty impressed with their eyeshadows. They were a lot nicer than I thought. I just assumed their eyeshadows wouldn't be where it was at with the brand, but they're pretty on point. It's just not so crazy, you know, that I could rank it any higher, but like, it's not one of my favorite palettes I've ever used, but I had a lot of fun using this and I will continue to use it. I actually featured this in my winter favorites for this year because I feel like it's a very wintry palette. Number 59 is my Sugar High palette from Menagerie. So pretty. I love the shimmers in here. I think they're beautiful. The mattes are nice too. I enjoy Menagerie's formulas. I mainly had critiques with this one in the sense that I wish there was a really dark matte in here, like a darker purple or a darker blue. There needs to be some more depth because I feel like the shimmers kind of are the depth in the palette. And I prefer when the darkest shades are a matte, but that's just a little nitpicky thing on me. But because of that, I couldn't rank it any higher, but it is very beautiful. Again, I can't stress enough, like, even though some of these are ranked like in the 50s, obviously, like, I kept all of these in the makeup collection and declutter. So I enjoy all of these. There just has to be an order, you know, like something has to be better than the last. Number 58 is the Unearthly Cosmetics Sleepover palette. I thought this one was pretty cute. I like the shimmers in here. I did like the range of depth in here and the range of undertones for the mattes. It just wasn't like my first one I was reaching for, you know, like it kind of sat in the back of my mind on the back burner a little bit, so I couldn't really rank it higher, but I do like this one. I think this one's fun. 67 is the Daily Grind palette, also from Unearthly Cosmetics, and again, it's super cute. I really like this curated color story. These mattes are a lot of fun, and the shimmers are gorgeous. I like the like pop of mint down here to pair with the different bright oranges. Very citrusy vibes. We're at the point in the video where it was actually really hard to decide a ranking because everything in this like middle section I do like. This one just didn't quite make the cut as far as like ranked highly. Everything else I like more, but I do like this one, don't get me wrong. Number 56 is the water palette from the Melt Cosmetics Zodiac collection. I love the range of depth in here with the different matte blues. The different shimmers are so pretty. I like that we have something light and then mid and then deep. So super pretty. I love this one. It's just, you know, like blues and a couple pops of cool tone brown. It's not like the most inspiring color story in the world, so I just didn't want to rank it any higher, but I did really enjoy this one. And 55 is the Earth palettes. So super pretty. I love this one too. I do wish there was one other color of shimmer in here. Like I wish one of the bronzy tones was a green. That would have made the palette even better for me, but I love these grungy earthy vibes. I love the range of colors in here. I think this one is very fun to play with, but not as fun as the next one. Number 54 is another Salem Cosmetics palette. This one is the first one where it definitely like spoke to my soul more. This is the Love is Blood, and it is so pretty. The shimmers in here are amazing. Again, the mounts are so easy to work with, so pigmented and blendable, but these shimmers actually gave me something exciting. It gave me a reason to want to use it. I really enjoy this one, so I wanted to rank this one much higher than the other ones. I kept this one in the Declutter series, but this isn't like my go-to color story, like a warm pinky orange yellow. It's just, I prefer cool tones typically, so couldn't really rank this one higher, but I have major appreciation for it. Number 53 is the Melt Cosmetics Beetlejuice Recently Deceased from a couple years ago. Again, my friend gave it to me, and I just love it. I love a Beetlejuice color story. It is so stinking cute. I love these colors together. The shimmers and mattes are so pretty. I only didn't rank it higher just because maybe there's some formula, no, not even a formula thing. I just might be more inspired to reach for other things more. Again, this section of the video was so hard to rank because I love them all. But yeah, it's just, I couldn't rank it any higher. I like things a little bit more inspired to use some other things more, but I'm so happy that I have this. Number 52 is the new Oh Honey 2 palette from the Sugar Pill Trixie Mattel collection. This is so super pretty. I've really enjoyed this. This blush shade is gorgeous. I would prefer this to be separate and this just be a 6-pan palette, but it's okay. The shimmers are gorgeous. This Buzz Off shade is amazing. Like those little sparkles actually do stick down when you lay it. It doesn't just dust away into black. That gold is such a crazy bright gold. I've really liked this one. It's not like my go-to color story, so I couldn't rank it any higher, but I've really enjoyed playing with this. And number 51 is the Vitality palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is so pretty. I love the colors in here. There's everything from super bright to really deep and grungy. The shimmers are really pretty as well. I want to give this one some more love. I feel like I haven't shown this one enough love, and it is such a pretty palette, so I'm gonna have to play with this one again soon. It's just a little large and a little not curated, so I couldn't really rank it higher. I prefer a color story that has a little more cohesiveness to it, so that's why I didn't rank this one higher, but I do greatly enjoy it. Moving into the top 50 now, and since I started with 96, this is basically the halfway point, so let's get into it. Number 50 is the Alice in Wonderland palette from Sigma. So super pretty. I love these colors. This was the first Sigma palette I tried, so I was able to kind of get blown away by their eyeshadows because I really wasn't expecting much. The mattes are very saturated and pigmented, and the shimmers are gorgeous. It's just like maybe not the first color story I'm gonna go for, so that's why I didn't rank it higher, but I do love this one. Number 49 is my Nomad Cosmetics Fée de Provence palette. It looks like this. I love the color story so much. I think these shimmers are pretty, and their mattes are just so buttery and blendable and just so easy to work with. Very beginner friendly, and I love it. I just don't love it as much as everything else. You know how it is at this point in the video, so yeah. Next up, number 48, and this is officially the halfway point in the video as far as the ranking goes. So, in the top half, we have the Meet Me in the Underworld by Lois Cosmetics. This one is so gorgeous. It's like a grungy garden. I love the grungy tones in here. I love the mattes. They're so buttery and easy to work with. And the shimmers are really pretty as well. They have a really nice metallic look on the lids. Such a pretty palette. Really looking forward to seeing what this brand does in the future. Next up, number 47 is the Nomad Cosmetics Hudson Valley. Just look at that. There is like no other perfect autumnal palette. It's so pretty. I love these tones. I love autumn and Halloween and all that fun stuff, and this is just breathtakingly beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. I think the only reason I didn't rank this one higher is just because the lack of shimmers. There's only 3. Would have loved to see at least 1 or 2 more, but that's okay. It's still a wonderful palette. I just maybe gravitate towards other things more. Speaking of shimmers, number 46 is my Bella Beauty Bar Angles of Illumination 3. It is an all duochrome palette. These shimmers are so pretty. Oh my gosh, they are gorgeous. I love these. I'm super happy to have this in my collection. It's just so breathtakingly beautiful. But it's not like the one I'm reaching for first, so that's why I didn't rank it higher, but I do still love it. Number 45 is the Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This one is beautiful. These specific Beauty Bay shimmers are gorgeous. The mattes are so pigmented. I love this palette. I think it's absolutely incredible. I actually thought this one was gonna get ranked higher, but alas, everything else just beat it out, but I do love this one dearly. And number 44 is the Beauty Bay Earthy palette, and very similar. Like, the shimmers are just incredible and the mattes are so pretty. I love these grungy earthy tones. I love these greens. I like that there's a mixture of like dark greens and then there's like brighter greens. It's just such a good green variety, you know? So yeah, I love this. Again, I thought this one was gonna get ranked higher, but alas, everything beat it out by a little bit. Maybe there's just a color story that speaks to me more, or a formula that beat it out, but alas, this one didn't make it higher, but I do still love this one. Number 43 is the In the Dark palette from Unearthly. I love this one. I actually just used it the other day in an Instagram video / TikTok, and it's just as fun as ever. It's dark and grungy and wonderful. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful palette. The only reason this one didn't make it higher is maybe also the lack of shimmers, even though the mattes are truly what makes this palette special in my opinion. I don't know. Again, we're in that weird stage where I don't know why certain things are necessarily ranked where they are. I just kind of went with my gut and went with the vibes and went with what I feel more drawn to. So this one didn't make it higher, but again, it's still in the top half. I love it. Number 42 is the Don't Be Jelly from Unearthly. This is an all shimmer palette, and man, these shimmers are gorgeous. I absolutely adore them. I think they are so freaking pretty. I think this is breathtaking. Again, these shimmers are just so fun. I feel like I can wear them by themselves, but they also pair nicely with literally anything. There's such good shifts in here. I love this one. I'm just not reaching for it first, so I didn't rank it higher, but I do like it. And number 41 is the Gourmet Girls Ethereal palette. This is another all shimmer palette, and I don't know what it is about this one, but this one is just fantastic. These shimmers are so incredibly shifty and wet looking on the lid. I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, it is so, so pretty. So yeah, this is number 41. Moving in now into my top 40. Number 40 is another Gourmet Girls palette. This is the Radioactive. Again, another all shimmer palette, and this one is just so fun. It is so, so pretty. I love the undertones of these shadows. It is absolutely gorgeous. This one makes me really, really happy. It's such a pretty palette. Number 39. I can't believe we're getting under 40 now already. This is the Celestial Garden palette between Bella Beauty Bar and M Jones 5018 on Instagram. This is such a fun palette. We have a mixture of mattes, shimmers, and then split pan water activated liners. This one just makes me feel really creative. I think it's a really fun palette. The shimmers are definitely where this brand shines the most, but their mattes and water activated liners are really good as well. I've really enjoyed this one. I think it's really, really fun to play with. Number 38 is the Gemini 2 from Melt Cosmetics. Oh my gosh, a grungy garden dream. It is so, so pretty. I love all the tones in here. My only nitpicky thing is I wish one of these was a shimmer. Like, that would have made me really happy. Like, I don't need both of those like light tone shades. But it's a really great palette. I love Melt's formulas, and this one is totally a me color story. Number 37 is the Unearthly Cosmetics Leather and Lace. This one is gorgeous. This is such a pretty palette. I absolutely adore it. I love these different tones. I love the gradient of olives, of pumpkiny oranges, and then like plummy purples. It's such a cool palette. I like just the gradient they did in the colors they chose. The shimmers are all really, really pretty as well. Number 36 is the Unearthly Cosmetics All I Ever Wanted, another all shimmer palette, and this one is just superb. It is so, so pretty. These shimmers are breathtaking. I actually tried to travel with this, but then I forgot my eyeshadow palettes because I had them in a separate bag, but it's okay. But either way, I've loved playing with this one. I think the shimmers are so, so pretty and reflective and shifty and amazing, and I just love it. Number 35 is the Heather Austin palette with Adept Cosmetics. I'm so impressed with this one. This was my first time trying Adept. I love the mattes that Heather chose for this palette. They're so rich and delicious, and these shimmers are all so incredibly smooth and shifty and amazing, and I'm super, super happy for them in their collab. This is such a killer palette. Number 34 is the Soul Moon 2 palette from Odin's Eye. This is beautiful. I love the bright colors in here paired with some darker jewel tone shades. The shimmers are so pretty as well. I like this one because it's colorful without being a traditional rainbow. It's just such a beautiful palette. I'm such a sucker for Odin's Eye though, one of my favorite formulas. Number 33, this is the Nomad Cosmetics Monteverde Cloud Forest. Look how beautiful. These rich, lush jewel tones, these shimmers are immaculate. Like something about these shimmers is truly so special. And these mattes are just beautiful. I love these tones so much. Like this is just such a fun, playful palette. I absolutely adore it. Number 32 is the Give Me Glow Teal Nightlife. This one's like a bundle of singles, but put into a palette. Like you can buy all of these separately, but I chose the palette option. So I'm considering this a palette because that's how I treat this. It's so pretty. I love these tones. I'm a sucker for blues and greens and yellows. I do wish there was one more shimmer in here. I feel like a yellow shimmer would have taken this up another notch, but it is really pretty. I'm super happy with this. I love the formulas. I love Give Me Glow so much, and this one makes me really happy. And number 31 is their new Haunted Pumpkin palette. This is so gorgeous. Love the aesthetic. I love all the spooky things. The shimmers in here are so incredibly sparkly as well. I don't know what it is, and these tones are just so fun. I think it's a really fun and unique color story, and I think it's just such a blast to play with. Getting into the top 30 now. This is crazy. Number 30 is my Metamorphosis palette from Lethal Cosmetics. This one is gorgeous. These shimmers are so shifty. I feel like this is one of those palettes where I never feel bored playing with it. Even though like I don't always gravitate towards warm tones first, since I do tend to reach for cool tones, I still think this is absolutely phenomenal. I like the range of depth in here. I like the mixture of grungy tones with brightness. This is such a beautiful one. All right, number 29. This is the only one so far that's ranked highly, but I did declutter. This is the Weirdos palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. The only reason I decluttered it is because this glamour shade is no longer good. Like it just doesn't work. It happened to pretty much everyone that got this palette, unfortunately. If you reach out to the brand, they will send you a replacement, but I just decided I'm gonna take it as a sign from the universe. I have so much makeup, so I decided I would just let this one go, give the rest of the palette to a friend. So yeah, I didn't want to rank this one low just because I do love this palette. This is such a beautiful color story, and I loved it when that shade was still good. However, I just don't really need to keep it kicking around if there's a broken shade, so I did pass on it. But just so you know, you can get that replaced if that was an issue for you. So yeah, number 29. Number 28 is the new Teresa is Dead and Lethal Cosmetics collab. The Teresa is lethal. It's so cute. I love this alien theming. I love the colors. Like this one just means so much to me. I think this is such a fantastic palette, such a fantastic collab. Huge congrats to both of them. Number 27 is my Unearthly Cosmetics Dead of Night. This is a newer palette from them and I'm obsessed with it. This is definitely one of my favorite palettes from Unearthly. It is just so beautiful. Number 26 is the Air palette from Melt Cosmetics. This was my favorite one of the Zodiac collection. I think this is just such a fun color story. I love a peachy, pinky purple color story. It's such a good combo. I love that we had 4 totally different mattes in here. This was just such a fun ratio, and I think there's a lot I can do with this one, so love that. Number 25, the Perfect Happiness palette from Salem. When I tell you Salem really did improve so much this year, I mean it. This palette is insane. I love the mattes in here, and these shimmers are just absolutely incredible. I love everything about them. This is just such a fantastic palette. I only didn't rank it higher just because the next 24 means so much to me, but this one did get ranked very highly and for very good reason. This one definitely pulled at my heartstrings. Next up, number 24. This is technically the top quarter of the ranking. This is the Sorcerer palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. Such a fantastic brand. This brand launched this year and they have done amazing things with their palettes. This is such a good one. I love the shimmers in here, and these mattes are insane. I'm so happy with this palette. Number 23 is my Glamlight Michaela Pot 2. This is the sequel to their first palette that they did together last year, and I just love it. I love all these rich greens, the purples, the blues. Again, I'm a sucker for cool tones. These shimmers are incredible. I'm so super excited about this one. And again, This palette is what makes me sad about those Scooby-Doo ones because these mattes are so rich and amazing and the Scooby-Doo ones just weren't, unfortunately. But this one was, and the shimmers are amazing, and I'm happy to rank this one highly. Number 22 is my Lethal Cosmetics 1-Up palette. This is such a fun palette to play with. Those bright, insane mattes on the top and then those lovely rich shimmers on the bottom. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette. I've had so much fun playing with it. Every time I create a look, I'm super happy with it. And yeah, love this one. Number 21 is my Blend Bunny Cosmetics Primal palette. This is another rainbow palette. This was supposed to fill in the holes to the blends palette, add some more undertones, add extra black and white for those who have ran through it, and add the addition of shimmers that the first one didn't have. Again, I love Blend Bunny. I'm such a sucker for them. They have such a good matte formula. I'm so impressed by it. I love how they do their gradients, and this is just such a beautiful palette. I love the shimmers. Everything about this is amazing. So yeah, the Primal palette. Getting now into the top 20 of the year, I'm so excited. Number 20 is the Dragon Fruit palette between Cleona and Emily Violet Marie. They did have an issue where their packaging is like broken on this one, but supposedly they're like replacing it for people. So if that happened to you, you can reach out to them. It's not a huge deal to me. I'm not really traveling with this, so I'll just keep it as is and just set it on top. But this is amazing. These shimmers are so incredibly shifty and wonderful, and I am so excited about this palette. It makes me really, really happy. It brings me a lot of joy. Number 19 is the Unearthly Cosmetics All I Ever Wanted Volume 2. I don't know what it is about this one, but this just meant so much to me. It is breathtakingly beautiful. It is so sparkly and shifty and amazing, and I'm just so excited about all of these colors. I love all the different blues and greens and yellows. It is such a fun palette. Number 18 is the Merry Christmas palette from Odin's Eye. This is such a fun one of the best holiday releases of the year. It is fantastic. Love these rich tones. I love all the shimmers in here. It is just such a fun color story. I like that it's Christmassy without being like just too traditional Christmas. Such a fantastic palette. Number 17 is the Ace Beauté Ambiance palette. Man, oh man, is this a beautiful palette. I love the colors in here so much. I love how many shimmers are in here as well. This is such a me color story, and I'm just so thrilled with it. Number 16, I'm giving to the Strange and Unusual palette from Bella Beauty Bar. Such a fun palette. There are so many swampy, delicious mattes in here, and the shimmers, again, the shimmers are definitely where this brand shines the most, and I'm so excited about them. This was such a fun palette. Every time I've played with it, I've been super excited with my looks, and I love it. Number 15 is the Bard palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. Again, they've just done such a good job this year, and I'm so excited to see what they do in the future. These shimmers are amazing. I love these autumnal tones. This one just makes me so super happy. Number 14 is my Creepy Cute 2 from Shroud Cosmetics. They launched a sequel to their first Creepy Cute, and I just love it. I love the original Creepy Cute, and this one makes me so happy. Such beautiful, weird pastel-y-ish shades. Like, it's just such a weird palette, and I just adore these colors. I love Shroud's formulas. Obviously, I'm biased. I have a collab with them, but I have a collab with them because I love them so much. You know what I mean? And I'm just super excited about this one. It makes me very happy. Number 13 is the Nomad Cosmetics Paradise Islands palette. They knocked it out of the park with this one. These shimmers are so pretty. I don't know what it is about this one, but it brings me so much joy. There are so many lovely tones in here. It makes me feel so bright and colorful, and it just makes me so happy. Number 12, I gave to the Lois Cosmetics Meet Me at Midnight. I don't know what it is. This is just beautiful. It is such an enchanting, like, magical color story. I love these jewel tones. Again, the shimmers are very metallic looking. It's just such a fun palette. I was really impressed with this one. I need to play with this one again soon. Number 11, I'm giving to my Ace Beauté Aura palette. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And this does fill the hole from that Weirdos palette not working out. Like, they're not exact dupes, but they do have similar-ish colors. So I'm okay with the Weirdos not working out for me because this one is insane. I love the colors in here. I think this purple mustardy pop of reddish pink color story is so fun. And this one just blew me away right away. I love the size of this. I think this is a really fun direction for Ace Beauté to go. And now we are getting into the official top 10 of 2022, and I'm so excited about all of these. I love all of these dearly. Number 10, I'm giving to the Nomad Cosmetics Whistler Snow Lodge. This came out at the beginning of the year, and it held a high ranking the whole year. This is such a beautiful color story. I love these rich tones. It's like cozy and wintry and everything wonderful. I'm so excited about this. Number 9 is the Ace Beauté Envy palette. It is so pretty. I did smash my Karma shade, whoopsie, but it is so gorgeous. gorgeous. I love a grungy blue, green, yellow combo, and the shimmers are magical. I love this size. This is just such a beautiful palette. As soon as I used it, I had a feeling this would get ranked highly. Number 8 is the Odin's Eye Hella palette. I love this. This was in collaboration with Angelica, and it is beautiful. Odin's Eye does collab so well, and I just adore this. I love the greens and berry tones. The shimmers are phenomenal. Huge congrats to both of them. This was a huge hit for so many people. Number 7 is my Blend Bunny Cosmetics The Dollhouse palette. I adore this. This was their first take at like a neutral palette, and they did such a good job. It's like neutrals with a twist. It's like a grungy garden. The shimmers in here are so cute, and I just, again, love the gradient. I feel so pretty when I use this. This is such a good palette, especially if you're someone who doesn't really use neutrals, but you want some neutrals in your collection. This is a really fun one. Number 6, I'm giving to my Lethal Cosmetics Evergreen palette. This one launched recently, and I'm just so obsessed with it. These shimmers are so shifty and insane. I love the mattes. I love the combination of brights with like grungy tones. It is just too good. Getting into my top 5 now, drum roll please. Number 5 is my Lethal Cosmetics Nightflower palette. This one stole my breath away as soon as I saw it revealed, and I'm so happy that I have this palette. It is just absolutely beautiful. It works so amazingly. I love the tones in here, and the shimmers are just gorgeous. I don't know what it is, but this palette just feels so special to me, and I am so happy I have it. Number 4, I decided to give to the Spooked palette between Gourmet Girls and Doodles by the Bunny. This is such a fun palette. These mattes are so good, and the shimmers are just insane. I'm so excited about this one. I think this is such a fun palette to play with. I'm so excited about it. Number 3, I'm giving to my All Done Up palette by Blend Bunny. This is one of their most recent palettes, and it is gorgeous. Again, kind of like grungy neutrals, but with a twist. I love these tones, the mossy greens and the mustards. The shimmers on the bottom are so incredibly sparkly and amazing. And I love how small this one is. This is their smallest palette they've done compared to their large palettes. It's still not a small palette, but small in comparison. And I'm just so excited about this. I would love to see more palettes this size from them. Number 2, I fell in love with the Christmas Eve palette the second I got it in the mail. I gasped when I saw it out loud because I did get it sent to me right before they revealed it. Oh my gosh, this is just beautiful. I love these rich, like wintry but grungy tones. It's so deep and amazing, and I love the shimmers. They're so twinkly. I feel beautiful when I use this palette. This was such a hit. Again, one of the best holiday releases this year. And finally, last but not least, my number 1 favorite palette of the year, aside from my own collab, of course. This is the Druid palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. I'm telling you, they've done such a good job. This is their first palette they launched actually, and they just like knocked it out of the park. This came out at the beginning of the year, and it maintained first place the whole year practically. I love this palette, one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. It is a dream. I love these rich, grungy mattes. They are so easy to blend, and they're so pigmented, and the shimmers are breathtaking. Huge congrats to this brand for just existing. I'm so excited to see what they do next year. And yeah, that was my ranking, all of my palettes from 2022, all 96 ranked. I love so many of these so much, and I'm super excited to hear your thoughts. Let's zoom out and finish up this video. Thank you so much for watching my ranking. I would love to hear what you think. Did anything surprise you? I don't think my palettes that are in the top are gonna surprise you at all, and I feel pretty firm in my reasonings on why the things in the bottom are in the bottom. I would love to hear your thoughts though. What palettes have you tried this year? Feel free to rank the palettes that you've tried if you feel like it. I would love to chat down below. If you made it to the end of this video, why don't you leave me your last 10 most recently used emojis, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot, and if you're not already, you can follow me on my other socials. You can join the battybean fam. I am battybean on everything, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye. Oh man, when I tell you, it takes so long to do these videos, and 3 days from now, Betty Jean is not looking forward to filming the actual ranking. But I am excited to share the ranking with you. It's like a bittersweet thing. Like, I'm really excited to share it with you and chat about my thoughts, but the actual doing it and then editing Betty Jean later, she's gonna have a rough time. I literally had to stop and take a break because my camera battery was dying, and then as soon as I came up to film again, I had like the hiccups that were incessant, so now I'm back.